On this week's episode, we have new updates on the Peloton Rower, plus shots fired by SoulCycle.
And new scenic content from Susie and Jon, and much, much more.
Welcome to Pelo Buddy TV, a show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. Here are your hosts, Amanda Siegel and Jon Pruitt.
Welcome to episode 92 of Pelo Buddy TV, a show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. I'm Jon Pruitt, joined this week by my very special co-host, filling in for Amanda, Tiffany Stuckey. Hey, Tiffany.
Hey, Jon.
Thanks so much for standing in for Amanda this week. I know she's in New York. She's in New York gallivanting right now, and I know she really wanted to be here because there was some news that she definitely wanted to cover. But we really appreciate you taking her spot. We have big shoes to fill, so no pressure. No pressure at all.
No, none at all. Thanks, Jon.
You're good. A nice little pep talk.
Right.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my leaderboard name is Tiff Stock. I've had my Peloton bike since 2018, and then got the treadmill about 2 years after that. Mom of two. I also am love Hannah Frankston. I am one of the admins of the Push crew.
And you're not too far. You're not too far from me in Michigan. Just one state over.
No.
There. And I also heard you were recently at the new London studio, which I'm not jealous about at all. But tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I was. That was super exciting. I was able to do Cliff and Hannah's ride and meet up with members of the Push crew who I've been chatting with for years. So that was truly, truly a magical experience. I loved every minute of it.
Very cool. And anything about the new London studio that you want to share, or kind of what it's like there? Because I've never been to London. I obviously haven't been to the new studio since it opened, and I haven't been previously to where they used to have the studio before the pandemic.
Yeah, it's amazing. The staff there, everyone, you almost feel like you're in Disney World. Like everyone there just wants you to have a magical experience. It was just, everyone should experience that, whether it be in New York or London. And the ironic part about it, I've been to the London studio. I have not been to the New York studio. But yeah. It's just, they wanted you to just have a good time. Not only from the instructors, the crew, everyone there just made us feel important and made it just a very, very magical experience.
That's the one thing I'm hearing from many members who have gotten a chance to visit both studios before the grand opening is Peloton is really making it more of an experience. It's not so much a cycling workout studio where you just drop in and get out. They really want it to be that full experience when you go somewhere and you can shower, you can relax. It's not really like a get in and get out, type place. You really soak it all up, and they've really built that atmosphere around the new studio. So, I mean, the New York one, I've only done one class at the new Peloton Studios in New York, but the space is just absolutely gorgeous. And the way they have it, you want to spend the whole day there and,
Yes.
and hang out and take it all in and experience it to the fullest. So I'm really excited to go to London. I want to go in the fall, and I would love to just be able to just go on my own and do a solo trip, which is really easy as opposed to going with my wife and our 10-year-old son. But my wife, Jackie, will not let me go alone. She's like, if you're going to London, we're making a family trip out of it. I think she would be too jealous if I went to London on my own, because she lived there for a year when she was in college, and she knows her way around, and she definitely wants to get back just as much as I want to go visit. So yeah, hopefully in the fall, because there's so many instructors that I've yet to meet across the pond, including Hannah and Ben and Leanne and Benny and Jeff Mckeichern and so many of the German instructors. So yeah, hopefully it happens in the fall, after the craziness dies down a little bit from the grand opening.
Yeah.
But anyway, before we get into the episode, we always love to remind our viewers and listeners that how you can keep up to date with us on all our content across all platforms. Every episode, as well as breaking news, is released on our YouTube channel, as well as on Instagram, Facebook. We're also on Twitter. Just make sure you hit the subscribe button there on YouTube and hit the notify button so you never miss an episode. And if you also just prefer to listen to us while you're on the go, we're on all traditional podcast platforms. Just search Pelo Buddy TV, hit subscribe again, click notifications so you never miss an episode. And and like I said, we're on Facebook and Instagram. I don't spend much time on Facebook, but Instagram is where I spend most of my social media time. And we're always posting, Chris Lewis and his team are always posting a lot of great content there that links to pelobuddy.com. So be sure to visit us there and follow us on those social media channels as well. And why don't we get on with the show, Tiffany?
All right.
First, let's do a rundown of the latest Pelo news.
All right, so kicking it off, we have some rower news, Tiffany. So a couple bits of information that were revealed in a now deleted post on social media. The Peloton rower has now been labeled Peloton Row, and beta testing has started through Peloton's field testing community, which a lot of members, not myself, unfortunately, but a lot of members have been a part of to test out the Peloton Guide as well as the Peloton Tread. We did hear, last we heard, it was going to be on sale September, October, with possibly shipping October, November. But in a recent, I think a earnings call or in a recent media interview, one Peloton executive said that they were still on track for a 2022 release. With that, there's been some more evidence of Peloton rower bootcamp classes. And we know that Adrian Williams is obviously one of the instructors for the Peloton Row because he was in that video at Peloton Homecoming back in May, actually using it in that little teaser clip that they posted over that weekend. But Pelo Buddy, as of July 26, Peloton has updated, and this is kind of like technical software code type stuff, but Peloton has updated one of their APIs, which stands for Application Programming Interface, to include a class type titled Row Bootcamp. So this is just further confirmation that Peloton members can expect to see rower bootcamp classes added to the platform once the Peloton Row is launched, which I'm definitely excited about because I love the bootcamp classes. I don't know about you, but I love doing them on the tread as well as the bike. So it'll be fun to also incorporate strength on the rower to kind of see how they do that portion of the transition to the floor from the rower. I'm just getting more and more excited. I wish I could just order it now or be a part of that field testing program to get my hands on it now and get my first taste of it. Cause I'm definitely, on board with getting it whenever it does go on sale. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Yeah, same. I'm excited. I'm excited. I can't wait.
Yeah, it'll be, it's right around the corner, hopefully. So, and as soon as it goes on sale or as soon as there's details, Pelo Buddy, you'll hear it here first. Typically, we'll give you that news, those little updates, such as the bootcamp details that we discover on the back end on Peloton's website. I don't know how Chris Lewis finds this stuff, but he has his ways, especially through our good friend Bob Tremore, who finds out a lot of breaking news before it's made public. But what else, moving on, what else do we have, Tiffany?
So I know that on Twitter, images had been discovered about a new patent through Peloton's third-party manufacturer, Rexon, that possibly could give us a glimpse into the Tread Plus, which is exciting. I know a lot of members had been holding out for the Tread Plus. I know me, that's currently what I have now, and wasn't one of those members quick to give it back. So I'm actually excited to see that come back out, if the rumors are true.
Yeah, I'm curious how involved of if it's like a retrofit, if it's just a piece that, they send you that you can put on yourself, or if they're going to have to really get involved and come out to each member's home and put it on themselves, which obviously is going to be a lot more daunting to get all those done. But I know personally, we've had our Peloton Tread Plus for it'll be 2 years in October, and I don't have any intention. I know Amanda was, probably going to return hers because she's still having ongoing issues, but I don't have any intention of returning mine at this point. But it'll be nice once all those holdouts can finally buy it once they do bring it back online.
Yeah, I know in the beginning I had ran into several issues with my tread, but over the last year and a half, I haven't had any. It did make me nervous with the warranty, that whole issue, but when I had spoke to a representative, they had put me at ease. So I don't see myself returning mine.
Yeah, I did get the extended warranty, the extra 2+ years. But the only issues I've had, and a lot of folks have had the same issue, are the something with the screen keeps freezing and it just basically locks up. I've replaced it a bunch of times, but luckily, knock on wood, I haven't had that issue in months now. So far, so good. I don't know what it is, if this new latest monitor fixed it, but no, I mean, I love ours. So I would hate to, return it and go with a smaller baby tread.
Right.
So in other news, so this is going to be this is going to be a polarizing one, which already has a lot of Peloton members worked up. But SoulCycle, if you've ever heard of SoulCycle, one of Peloton's top competitors, I'm taking direct aim at Peloton bike owners this past week in a new campaign by offering them the ability to trade in their Peloton bike and receive a correlating class package for in-studio SoulCycle rides at one of their local SoulCycle studios. It's called Souls Reunited Program, and the tagline declares, "Let's ride together." And the program, it's a very short window. It's running from July 27th to August 3rd. And upon signing up, SoulCycle will arrange for complimentary pickup of your Peloton bike, and the trade-in amounts to 47 classes of SoulCycle studio classes, which basically comes to about $1,400. And the company also launched a new webpage containing additional info about the program. They said, "Today we're taking one bold step towards togetherness. Trade in your Peloton bike and join us in the studio. We're dead set on seeing you back with your pack, so we're giving you the opportunity to trade in your bike for the equivalent value of in-studio classes at SoulCycle. 47 classes that you get in like a class pack credit. It's only accepting the first 100 people, so I don't even know if they'll meet that amount in basically a week's time that they're running this promotion. But a few other details in the fine print. You have to live in the United States, in the contiguous United States. You must live within 20 miles of a SoulCycle studio. You must not have taken an in-studio SoulCycle class since March 16th, 2020, or have never taken an in-studio SoulCycle class at all. And individuals are chosen for the program can expect to hear from the company between August 4th and 12th. So, I mean, it's just like, how desperate can you be?
Right. Right.
It's just kind of laughable. I think it's really super petty. I mean, competition is great, but like to call out your competition this way, I think it just reflects really poorly on SoulCycle. And I think it's really just if they just want to like generate some sort of news. It's not good news. It doesn't look good on them,
Right.
but they're just I mean they're just creating a buzz. But I mean I know I don't know anybody that's taking advantage of this deal. I mean people who have Peloton bikes are pretty adamant. They love the company unless you're one of those few whose Peloton bike has just been like a coat hanger,
Right.
for a while. But I just think it was I just think it was pretty silly.
Yeah, I agree.
I know, like, Mom's a Peloton, like, I even made a funny reel out of it, poking fun of it. But I know a lot of people that were very, very strongly opposed and, expressing those opinions on social media. I haven't seen, I would love to see Peloton put out some sort of funny social media post poking fun at it.
I
Peloton
agree.
is just, they're too classy really to make a direct response at it. Maybe they'll make like an official press release, but I would love to see something where they poke fun at it, because I don't know, like SoulCycle, I've done SoulCycle. I mean, it's a cool experience in the studio. It's totally different. But if you have the right instructor, it can be a really good class. It can be really good cardio. But I remember SoulCycle after the episode of Sex in the City, or the reboot, whatever it was called, when Big died after riding his Peloton and had his heart attack. I remember SoulCycle within a day or two of that episode, they made some sort of post that said something along the lines of, "Oh, you're saying, what if Big went to SoulCycle instead? We're just saying,
Yeah, I saw that
just
too.
like sort of like tacky like that."
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me that they would do something like this. But Peloton, I would love to see them sort of make a funny gesture or post about it, but I feel like they're just way too classy to even, dignify that.
Yeah, I agree.
With a response.
I feel like right. Because I don't even, they didn't even respond to the big jab. So I feel like Peloton has their users, and I even think with the tacky advertisement or ad that they had put out there, like you said, I don't think it's going to get very much clout.
No, I don't think it'll get a whole lot of traction. I mean, I think they knew that this is just a way for them to get people sort of back into the studio, create some sort of little buzz. But it's obviously why they just made this for 1 week only and for the first 100 people. I don't think many people are going to jump to return their bikes. And also, I know a lot of people were curious about, like, what are they going to do with those bikes? Are they just going to trash them? Because, usable Peloton bikes, get them in the hands of somebody that could really use them. And obviously it's the competing company, so I don't think they're going to really promote how they're giving those Peloton bikes or giving them to somebody else or passing them on. But it would be a shame just to, scrap them when they, for anyone that does turn them in and get in classes. But it's definitely from a
maybe they'll put them in their studios.
Retrofit them,
yeah.
But I mean, from a financial breakdown, when you get unlimited classes with the Peloton bike as opposed to 47 classes in the studio, you got to factor in the time issue of going to and from the SoulCycle. I mean, I have one in Ann Arbor that's like 20 minutes away, but you got to figure out daycare, childcare, there's so many other things. So I don't think it's just silly for them to think that anybody really wants to capitalize on taking in-studio classes with them as opposed to just riding from the convenience of their home.
Right.
With having access to all this other content, not just spin classes, because Peloton is so much more than just spinning. So... yeah, when you break it down, it's not a very good deal for the person that's going to turn their bike in, bottom line.
I agree. And you had mentioned new classes. Did you see about the new scenic route that is in Scotland that Susie and Jon were doing? Did you hear about that?
Jon Hosking. Yeah, so I just saw
Yes.
some recent posts. Yes, so tell us a little more.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm a super fan of the scenic classes that Peloton offers, and Susie and Jon. So Susie has a 30-minute run. Jon has a 20-minute ride, I believe. Yeah, it's a ride.
Scenic bike ride, yeah.
Yeah, right. And then Susie and Jon both together are doing a 30-minute hike. So that's super exciting. I'm actually really eager to take all three of those classes.
I'm interested to see the chemistry. It's all around Scotland, according to our real-time message system here from the control room. But I'm interested to see the chemistry between the two, because I love Jon Hosking, and I know Amanda. I know she's kicking herself right now because she so wanted to cover. There's so much news of her favorite instructors that she wanted to be here for this episode to discuss, obviously. So she's bummed not to be here, but I'm interested to see their personalities, because Jon's, I love his personality. I've done one or two runs, maybe a walk with Susie. But, like Ben and Jess Sims, they were kind of like an unlikely personality pairing, and they seemed to get along pretty well. So I always love to see the bantering. And so they're two British instructors together. It'll be fun to see kind of how they play off each other, especially in that hike that they're together on. I haven't done a whole lot of scenic stuff. I mean, for me, it's kind of like a rest day class, but also, I don't know about you, but I always stick to a live schedule.
Okay.
So like the on-demand stuff like this, it would be on a day when like there might be no classes, like it might be a pause and reflect weekend or something, and I catch up on it. So for me, it's just there's so much live stuff I have to keep on top of, and if I miss it, then I do that on demand if I hear really good things about it.
I liked they had the classes that were filmed in Puerto Rico. I absolutely love those. And then real time, when I went to Puerto Rico this summer, it was amazing. The things that I had taken on the Peloton platform was literally right in front of my face. So that was amazing. I enjoyed that.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, that was super fun.
I know. I liked the Jess and Ben Aldis hike, and I even set my mom up when she was here recently. I set her up on the tread to do that hike, and she enjoyed it as well. But I need to. I haven't done enough of it. There's so much more for me to jump into. Waiting. But moving on to artist series, we've got a recent artist series. So Peloton just announced their next artist series, which took place this past Wednesday, the 27th. It just started on the 27th with the Future artist series, and will showcase the rapper, and he's also a rapper and trap artist. So Future, for anyone who doesn't know, including myself, he's an American rapper, trap artist who has earned 85 award nominations, has won 6 awards, including a 2019 Grammy for Best Rap Performance. He's also won 3 BET Awards, most recently in 2020 for Best Hip Hop Video. And Future has also released 9 studio albums and is considered a pioneer of the vocal effects and melodies used in modern trap music. And this new artist series will feature across a bunch of modalities taught by 6 different instructors. The classes started on the 27th, and they're running through the 31st. There was a yoga flow with Mariana, a run with Marcel Dinkins, shadowboxing with Kendall, a ride with Alex. That was on Wednesday night. He had the Wednesday night artist series slot, and a 45-minute boot camp with Jess Sims. That happened on Thursday, the 28th. And also a 45-minute Future Thunder 45 with Adrian Williams that took place today on Sunday, the 31st. You can also expect to receive an artist series badge for it. And also got to give a shout out to Chris Lewis, because he's very proud of his compilation, his full list of badges, which you can find on pelobuddy.com. And also you can find the full breakdown of all the classes. Sometimes Peloton doesn't always make it super easy to see all the different artist series classes, but we have them, current ones and past ones, really nicely sort of laid out on the pelobuddy.com website for your viewing easement. So check it out there. And then I think you've got another artist series also to go over.
Yes, we do. It is Purple Disco Machine, which unfortunately I've never heard of, but I do know, I believe he is a German producer and DJ, if that is correct. And that's what I really, really love about Peloton is the different artists that they introduce their audience to. Because, for instance, I've never heard of this producer or DJ, but taking the artist series introduces me to his music, which then causes me to go on my Google Music Play and actually listen to songs that he has produced. Because even like what you had mentioned with Future, I'm not really a big fan of Future, but doing Marcel's Run, she played some hits of his, So I really like that Peloton does these artist series because it does introduce us to artists we never may have known of, or those that we typically won't listen to, and then they're added onto our playlist.
I had never heard of Lizzo before when they first did the first Lizzo artist series, which was, I guess, a while ago now. But it's great because it also, I'm discovering a lot of artists that I normally wouldn't. I mean, I normally don't listen to EDM music or trap music, but I love it. I love it on the Peloton platform, especially, when Dan McKenna or Jess King or one of the other instructors, incorporates it a lot into their playlists. But so I never really heard of Purple Disco Machine either, but they have a lot of remix versions of songs, of really popular songs that are played on the Peloton platform, and probably the most popular one, and they'll also be a part of the All for One Festival, August 19th through the 21st. The most popular one that I can think of off the top of my head is a Purple Disco remix version of Lady Gaga's Rain on Me, which was obviously played when it first came out. Everyone was playing that on the platform, but there was a remix version of it, Purple Disco remix, that was really good. And Cody would play it a lot, and a lot of the other instructors would play it. But you'd probably be surprised to know if you looked at a lot of playlists, a lot of instructors do a lot of remixes, but the Purple Disco remix, they have a lot of them in their music catalog that they incorporate into a ton of playlists. But yeah, the Rain on Me version is really good. Moving on, Anna Greenberg is off the schedule until her baby is born. So last weekend on social media, she posted on Insta that she is about to pop. So she could have very well, by the time this episode comes out, she could have given birth at this point. But she was really sad that she couldn't get, to do an official farewell class before the baby was born. But she did say that there will be some upcoming on-demand drops in the coming weeks to tide everyone over until she returns from her maternity break. And so we've got an update in the iOS app. So the Made for Movement tracker now has the filter option when you're viewing strength classes. So if you go into the iOS app now and you go to strength and then filter, you should be able to see Made for Movement tracker. This update launched on Android a few weeks ago. But is very useful if you want to build your guide stacks on the app. So for anyone that has the Peloton Guide app, it's going to be a big benefit there.
Awesome. And a new feature that Peloton also released is the Find Your Class Match. And I actually would have found this very, very beneficial for me back in 2018, where you're able to, they actually have it where you can start a quiz and decide your favorite types of workouts like cycling, indoor running, strength, yoga, stretching. So it actually says that there are 13 options that the members could choose from. I find that very beneficial, especially for someone coming in to Peloton brand new, because there's so much content. It can actually be
Yeah.
very, very overwhelming. So I find this, I mean, not even for new users, I find it beneficial for me as well, even sifting through different type of run classes or cycling classes. This feature is actually very, very cool. And I know for myself, I wouldn't consider myself brand new to Peloton, but I could even see myself playing around with this new feature.
Yeah, because I mean, it is totally overwhelming with how much content there is, how many, all the different modalities, I mean, there's so many instructors now to choose from. You just have so many options. So it's just, it's a great way to, for them to kind of help you find something, that suits your interests. And they're so data driven. So, I think it's great that they've added this extra little feature, especially for somebody, just coming aboard that might have just gotten a bike or a tread and is completely overwhelmed by, where do I start? Just another thing to help those newbies along who are just getting on the platform for the first time.
Yeah, and you can also sort out through it says what music motivates you. So different genres of music, as well as the length of the classes. So that's super, super cool, a super cool feature.
Yeah, because I go to Ben for the bangers, for EDM. Like certain instructors just have their niche of music. Jen Sherman, she has a lot of 80s and classic rock. Jess King has like trap EDM, but it's just another way to kind of, find what suits you, or maybe discover something you didn't realize you might be well suited for. So while we're talking about the app, Tiffany, one update, the invite friends feature that was recently announced is now available to all members. This allows Peloton members to schedule classes in advance with friends and family, and more easily work out together to celebrate milestones or say like a birthday ride or a Peloversary class. So Peloton first introduced this feature as an easy way to invite, accept, and celebrate a workout with friends from your Peloton device. So currently, it's only on the app, the bike, or the tread are the only way to send and receive invites. So I don't know if you've noticed it, but if you go to the live schedule and you click on a class, like a live class, like to count yourself in, there's an option to invite. Or if you go to the on-demand section, there's basically like a little icon. It's one or two icons over from like the stack button. It looks like two people, and that's basically where you can invite somebody if you want to invite someone to do an on-demand class. But it'll give you the option to add, if you want to, you don't have to, but you add the occasion for it, such as a just because ride, a just because class, or a milestone, a century. It gives you a century option if it's your century class, birthday, a team ride, a Peloversary, ride for a cause. But it's kind of nice. The only thing I've received invites. I haven't sent any out, but the one little complaint I have about it is you basically, anyone that you follow, they're just listed alphabetically. There's no way to type in their name and search for them. So you could be doing a lot of scrolling if you follow a lot of people to find somebody. There's no select all feature, so you can't just blast it out to everybody. So, I mean, it's cool. They have some, they need to make, probably some tweaks to it. I'm sure they'll update it further to make it a little easier, but it's still kind of cool because I've gotten a couple of invites for someone with a milestone ride for Alex's Club Bangers, and I think on Daniel's upcoming boot camp.
I agree. That was when that feature first rolled out. I was super excited about that because, in the Push crew, we do a lot of riding with each other on their milestones or birthday rides, or just riding in general. But it's having to go through the complete list of people that I'm following, it doesn't make it easy. It's not really user friendly in my opinion. And so to be able, which again, I'm sure Peloton will eventually come out with an update, but to make it easier where you could invite just your friends or people in the hashtags that you're following.
In the tags,
I think it'll get a lot of use doing that.
Or just at least give the option to type in someone's name, just like you would search for a member to add or to peep their stats. Hopefully they'll eventually add that. I'm sure that's going to come eventually. Just it's a matter of when, if this gets used enough, I guess, if the data supports them putting any more money, into making updates to it. But it's still nice. It's just another way that they're making, just adding to the social interaction.
So Peloton apparently had been sending members gifts for taking the Asian and Pacific Islander Heritage Month classes. I actually really, really love that Peloton does this. I know I had for Women's History Month, I had received an unexpected care package, which I loved and touched my heart. So I think this is super cool. The gift that I believe that was going out was a reusable bag, which I love, Save the Planet, as well as a card thanking them and recognizing them for taking these classes during that month. So that's pretty cool. And I know members, they had shared online that they had appreciated it as well, because again, it's unexpected. So I really like that Peloton does do these little trinkets and give back to their members for taking these specific classes.
Yeah, and they've sent out, I know I received something, it was more of a just because gift. It wasn't for doing a particular class. It was almost like they were just getting rid of some swag, but it was still like a nice thought because it was just, it was unexpected, it was a t-shirt and maybe some shorts, but I think it's fun, especially for different themed classes, series that they do. But also I remember, Homecoming 2021, they were sending out to different members. I got different themed kits. There was a relax and meditate kit that had a mug and some different teas. And then it was almost, I think it was called like a cheerleader kit, which had these like streamers and flags that you would, hang over your Peloton bike or your tread. So yeah, it's just a nice thing that, they always, it's all about the community. And I think that's just a nice way of showing their appreciation. Even when membership is so large now as it is, they still have a way of, still keeping that connection.
Yeah, I agree. I really do like that about Peloton.
Yeah. And so switching gears a little bit, lawsuit news. We haven't really talked lawsuits in a while. There always seems to be one that Peloton's filing or receiving, but Peloton is now being sued by a small music publisher. So this lawsuit was just filed last Tuesday. The publisher is called Soul Assassins, and they are owned by Lawrence Muggerud, and this person owns copyrights to 11 songs that have been used by Peloton. They claim Peloton doesn't have the rights to them. This is a quote directly from the lawsuit. They state, Peloton's use of Soul Assassin's share of the musical compositions in its workout videos without a license from Soul Assassins is an outrageous, willful infringement because Peloton was sued by a group of music publishers in March of 2019 for doing the exact same thing. And clearly, based on the aforementioned lawsuit, Peloton knew unequivocally that it had no right to use any musical composition in its exercise videos without first obtaining a license for 100% of the song. And Soul Assassins is asking for statutory damages of $150,000 for each work that was infringed, each workout, I guess, what they meant. That was infringed, or as an alternative, accounting and payment of all gains, profits, and advantages that Peloton gained from using Soul Assassin's copyrighted music. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out because I know Peloton, after that big lawsuit, they finally came to an agreement. They seem to purge a lot of music to kind of cover themselves after that. And they seem to have a pretty good handle on music royalties and publishings, as they've continued to grow and go public since then. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how they, what sort of judgment. I mean, these can play out for a long time. So I'm not sure, who knows when we'll get another update from this. But I know Pelo Buddy, Chris Lewis, and his team of writers, I know they were going to be putting out more of a formal write-up about this. So this is the information we had at the time of recording this episode. But stay tuned for more.
Yeah. Well, so on to some positive news. Peloton is looking to target advertising ads on Netflix. And this is kind of a big deal because Netflix stalked out advertisers for years. So Peloton has hopes to have their products featured on or in Netflix shows. So that's kind of a big deal for Peloton.
Yeah, and it doesn't surprise me at all that Netflix is now looking to incorporate ads, considering they had one of their, worst quarters or worst months in terms of membership drops. I think they lost almost 1 million subscribers. And I mean, there's so much competition in the streaming show movie space right now. But I will say this, there's one ad I never mind going through. And whenever there's a Peloton ad, I don't mind watching that because it always just gets me excited because I love the company. So, whether it's on TV, during a game on ESPN or on the plane now with Delta, that's one ad I won't hit the skip button for. Good for them. I mean, it makes sense. It's a streaming content company. Peloton's a streaming connected fitness company. So it seems like a logical to move to expand their advertising, their marketing. And so moving on, we've got a fresh new apparel drop that just happened at the end of this past week. It is called For Hot Days and Cool Nights, and it's got several sets in there. T-shirts, men's T-shirts. It's got a couple unisex long sleeve shirts. There's actually a really cute striped button-down shirt that Callie Gullickson is modeling, which is normally not the type of apparel that they put out. It's more of like a formal dressier shirt, but it was different. It looked good. Some men's and women's shorts. Some women's bike shorts in there. There's a couple tie-dye towels as well. I didn't get anything. I was real tempted to get like one shirt because I still have some referral codes, but I really love, I've told Amanda this on past episodes, I love the Dream Blend stuff. The Dream Blend hoodies, the long sleeve and short sleeve t-shirts, like the quality is really good. And I didn't see any new Dream Blend stuff. So I think I'm going to hold out for either the current ones to go on sale, hopefully, or maybe some new pieces to come out because I love, this is one of my Dream Blend t-shirts. It's just super soft and comfortable. But did you get anything?
No, I behaved. The Adidas line, I kind of went nuts on, because my girl Hannah Frankson was the model. I joked and said it was her line, but that was totally a joke. I really liked this Adidas line. It was my favorite. So I went a little overboard with that. So therefore, the summer drop, I kind of had to just peak and keep on moving.
I feel like they're really getting into putting out the women's bike shorts. I feel like I see like Hannah Frankson, especially, she loves to wear not just the leggings, but she loves to wear like the bike shorts, and also at the New York studio. There seems to be kind of a big, I don't know if those are real popular right now as opposed to leggings, but I think they look pretty sharp. And there was a new pair of women's bike shorts in this drop just the other day.
Yeah, I saw those. Yeah, they're cute.
Well, we should shift right in. That's all the big news topics that we have. So let's shift right into instructors in the news. And I'll kick it off Kirsten Ferguson has a new four-legged member of her family. She has posted this past week on Instagram to welcome Ferguson. Sorry, her last name is Ferguson. Kingston. The full dog's name is Kingston Fraser Ferguson. And it's super cute puppy. It kind of looks like a pit bull mix.
Yeah.
She didn't really say anything about the dog, what breed or anything, but it almost looks like a cousin of, Jess Sims' dogs, Sienna Grace and Shiloh, like a pit bull type mix, but super cute. And, so they're going to have their hands full this summer with a new puppy, just as I do with Murphy, who's finally fallen asleep at my feet right now as we speak. And then you've got some bridal news to share.
Yes, is Olivia and her nuptials. Olivia, I was so excited to see her pictures on social media, and she's also on brides.com, and she just looks stunning. Just such a beautiful bride. I know Olivia has a mean shoe collection, so it was super cool to see her wedding shoes as well as her pre-wedding shoes from the rehearsal dinner. And even reading through the article on brides.com, I mean, it literally walked you step by step through the rehearsal dinner, to her photo shoots, to her wedding. It actually made me feel like kind of that I was there. And I loved that the instructors, were sharing the photos as well from their perspective. She just is beautiful, and I wish her and her husband nothing but the best.
Yeah, I was wondering, so I guess the wedding was basically 2 weeks ago in Ireland. And I was wondering why it was kind of strange at first that there was no posts, from Olivia, and then no real posts from the instructors at the wedding other than just doing, stuff around Ireland while they were there. And I was like, do they have like a media blackout on it? And then it's like, okay, they got the brides, got the exclusive on, covering the wedding. Cause I was waiting and waiting, and then they put out all these pictures, and it was kind of anticlimactic. It was like later gramming everything, and I was like, okay. And I'm a dude, so it's not like I get all excited about bridal and wedding, pictures anyway. But I was like, it was so after the fact. I was like, okay, I'm already moved on from that.
Yeah,
but
for me,
I guess.
For me, I'm all about the wedding story and living up to that hype. So, the instructor's posting, and you're like, okay, we know they're there. When are we going to see the picture? I felt how she did the drop. That was exciting to me. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I liked, some of the pictures were super cute, especially the ones in black and white where she's, sitting on or hanging out of that classic convertible, silver, whatever sports car that is. And obviously the venue was absolutely gorgeous at I think it was called the Adair Hotel, but it looked like a big sort of castle, compound in Ireland, wherever they were. But I always love to see the hijinks from the instructors that are there, and pretty much they were all there, for the most part, with the exception of like Cody and Jen Sherman. But it's always kind of fun to see them, interacting. I know I loved a lot of the posts from Selena Samuelo's wedding, because the instructors, some of them like rented a house together. So, they were partying it up, and, just some of the fun stuff, from like the dance floor at the wedding reception with Adrian and all of them, getting loose. Those are always fun. It's fun to see the interactions outside the studio. Especially in such a happy occasion. And I also noticed that Olivia, she just updated her name on her Instagram. Now it says Olivia Amato Waldron. But her Instagram handle is still Amato. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, at some point if her name changes on the Peloton app.
Yeah. It's official when it's official when you change your name on social media.
Yeah. Well, she was wearing right before her just before the wedding, like maybe a week before an early morning class, she was wearing like a custom made bra top that had Waldron, her husband's last name, on it. So yeah, be interesting to see if she updates it to the app or not. But yeah, it's official. Congratulations, Olivia. And moving on to Logan Aldridge news. Strength instructor Logan, he was recently on the Diet Starts Tomorrow podcast, and he shared a clip in an Instagram reel on his social media page this past week. And he said losing his arm was the best thing that ever happened to him. His mom said, back, I guess when he was 16 years old, and he had this accident with a boat, and I guess the rope, it got pulled into the propeller prop. That's how he ended up losing his arm. He said to his mom, I guess when they were in the ambulance, going to the hospital, he said, "Mom, are they going to have to amputate?" And she said, "Logan, it's just an arm." And he said in this clip that he posted, this became his mantra. He said, not looking back at it as a tragic event, but as more of a blessing in his life that helped shape him, to who he is today. It was such a huge turning point for him, and it basically it didn't hold him back from pursuing anything that he did after he lost that arm. From being the high scorer on his lacrosse team to wakeboarding, playing golf with one arm, obviously, and becoming a Peloton strength instructor. So anybody who wants to kind of learn more about his background, it's a great interview on this podcast to look at. And I think there's full video of it, but he just posted that one little clip on his Instagram page.
And also on instructor news, Bex is in LA filming a show co-hosted by Ashton Kutcher, which is super cool. And we believe that it may be, to go along with the series on the Peloton series on the leaderboard, or it could be something else. But you could check it out on Bex's IG page.
Yeah, she just posted, I think it was Wednesday night on Instagram. She posted a few stories with them kind of chatting back and forth. And he, he's a pretty funny guy. Like I've seen him on Shark Tank. It's kind of interesting. He's kind of moved away from acting, and he's more taken on this career as an investor in companies. So it's kind of just an interesting career he's had. Cause at one point in the 2000s, he was like red hot with all the movies out, Dude, Where's My Car? And, MTV's Punked. So it's kind of just interesting where, his trajectory, his career trajectory, it's been kind of an interesting one at this point. But he's always entertaining. So I'm sure there'll be some funny, entertaining moments from that one. And Allie Love, she was featured in Essence in an article on essence.com. It's called Off the Clock with Peloton's Allie Love. And it says the article is titled Meet Allie Love, instructor at Peloton, founder and CEO, Love Squad, and host of the Brooklyn Nets. She talks all about balancing her career, how she manages her day, and how she unwinds. She says a 24 getaway is all she needs. Like, she loves to go off for just a vacation, like fly off for a vacation for the day, be on the beach at 1:00 in the afternoon, and then fly out the next day back home at 6 a.m. and kind of, restart her week from there. She also says they ask her, why is being off the clock important? And she says, because one influences the other. She said at Love, Allie believes that taking time off, the rest you give yourself, makes room for productivity. Many people, she says, try to separate their personal and professional lives. But the reality is, if you want to live at the intersection of both lives, you want your family to know about your work, and you want your work to know about your family, she said. So another interesting article, because, God knows she has such a full plate of all the things that she does. And she's definitely one of the most active people on social media. Like, she really stays engaged with members. She might just be like liking a post or a comment, but she's definitely one of the more active instructors that seems more accessible. Like if you were to message her or interact with her on social media, she seems very plugged in there. But I mean, also she's been commuting back and forth to London to host that Netflix show that they're working on. She's got her own Love Squad business, and obviously she's a host at the Brooklyn Nets. So I mean, she, in addition to doing Peloton instructing, so I don't know how she manages to juggle all that and stay sane. It's just sounds so much, but she manages to do it with ease and grace. So more power to her.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. And Sam Yo was featured in BroadwayWorld.com, where he's bringing Broadway to the bike and incorporating the music of Broadway to the bike. So that's a super cool feature that I know myself that I enjoy because I enjoy Broadway music.
All right, another instructor in the news, Chelsea Jackson Roberts, was interviewed for Self Magazine. Title of this article is 5 Ways Yoga is Guiding Peloton's Chelsea Jackson Roberts Through Her Pregnancy. And those 5 things are self-care, modifications are essential, self-compassion, reflection and uncertainty are a part of the process, and parenthood comes in all forms. So if you want to, we should have that linked on Pelo Buddy if you want to read the full, it's a pretty quick read. But we've got it linked on pelobuddy.com there if you want to look at the full article. And also, one of my favorite instructors, Jen Sherman, was on the Dear Founder podcast. And this one, I listened to the full podcast on this one, and it was really interesting. I've heard the Jen Sherman, story a bunch of times. She was the very first instructor hired by Peloton before they even had a bike put together and manufactured, before they had built out the little 23rd Street studio in Chelsea, which is the original studio. But it was great to hear her go a little bit more into some of the stories of the early days, which I didn't really hear. And it was really refreshing to also hear her talk a lot about the fame of being a Peloton instructor, how that all blew up and how it became really difficult to, to manage having that balance between her family life with her husband and 2 kids and managing, all these different members, reaching out to her, messaging her on different platforms to, where she could only, do so much. And also the time she would spend chatting with people after class. It was really interesting to kind of hear her talk more about that and the early days before she went to Peloton, because I knew she had taught at a spin studio like in her hometown in New Jersey, and she was actually getting ready to open up her very own spinning studio. Like she was getting ready to sign the lease, and she had funding and business partners and everything. And at one point she also said, which I didn't hear this before until this interview, was at one point she was almost going to be running a Flywheel studio in New Jersey at one point, which Flywheel is now dead. But, they were one of the big competitions just, a few years before the pandemic. But it was a great interview because she talked a lot about, concerts, her kids, once they were at the age where she no longer felt like being a stay-at-home mom, which, she was happy to do for that period of time when they were young. She felt like she could branch out and be an instructor. She talked a lot about her best friend from New Jersey, Barbara Albert, who she shouts out all the time in classes, who goes by Barbie Doll, but how she was the person responsible for taking her to her very first spin class and then her getting hooked on it and eventually becoming certified to teach. But it was fun. She hasn't been on a podcast interview in a while, and it had been a while since I had listened to one because I had heard, I've heard the stories so many times about how she sent that email to John Foley one day when she saw an article about Peloton and, put herself out there, and then, they met for coffee just after that. But But this one, it was fun. It felt kind of new. Like there was some new stuff that she added to this interview, because let's face it, like, instructors, they get interviewed all the time, and I feel like you kind of hear the same thing over and over again. But this one felt like it was more updated, I guess you could say. But a real good interview, and I'm sure we have it linked on pelobuddy.com. But yeah, she's just, she's one of my favorite instructors, because she's just one of the most down to earth people. She sort of, she shrugs off the fame. She doesn't really kind of act like a rock star. I mean, she's she's a mom. She's got 2 college age kids. But it's funny. I connected with her almost immediately when I took one of her rides years ago. When I first did one on demand, because she has got such a great presence in the studio, and she makes such an effort to connect with people in the studio and members at home on the leaderboard, and that's just what makes her so special. She really gets to know people. She calls out people just by their first names in the studio, and she just has a real knack for doing that, and ability to make that connection. It makes you feel really special. When she looks at the camera, you kind of feel like she's really, looking right at you. So this one was a great interview. I'm glad. It was like 45 minutes. It was perfect. I was walking around the house listening to it, and I love Jen Sherman, so I can't give her enough praise. And it was interesting. She also talked about, with the fame. She also talked about, with the fame comes people, like the negative stuff. Like she's made a couple slips here and there, where she said some things that were perceived as, offensive. She talked about, she has to be careful about that. It makes her more kind of aware of that. And, people, are sensitive if she makes some sort of political comment, or that's perceived as political, it sets a lot of people off. And, she said she's learned from that. But it was just a great interview, and I recommend anybody who's never ridden with her, or who, who's a fan of her. It's just a great sort of picture into her background and kind of how she started out before Peloton in her story.
And final piece of instructor news is Robin gave a keynote on July 21st at Power of Pink Luncheon, which was a fundraiser for cancer services in Monmouth Medical Center. And during her keynote address, Robin stressed that movement is medicine, and encouraged everyone to focus on what you can do rather than any limitations.
Nice. Well, that wraps up Instructors in the News. Why don't we move right into our member picks of the week? And I will kick it off, Tiffany, because this is one of mine. It is Jen Sherman's 30-minute 80s ride from Friday the 22nd. This was also submitted by Katie Jump and Rach328. And this was Jen's first class with members in the studio since before the pandemic. The last class she had members in was at 23rd Street, back in March 2020. So there was so much excitement, so much buzz. It was the room was filled with all, hardcore JSS tribe, a lot of Peloton OGs that have been around, since Jen, started teaching at Peloton since the very early days. So, the energy was just, it was just super high through the entire class, from pre-show to the very end. A lot of people had coordinated. I think everyone had, special shirts made. Pretty much everybody in the studio was wearing one of them that had JSS Tribe, in big letters on the front. And she was just so happy and excited, and you could just see that exuding, the emotion. She got emotional. She talked about her friend Howard Godnick that passed away at the end of last year. She looked over, at the bike that he would normally ride in the studio, which was often because he was a New York City native that rode at the studio quite often. And also she shouted out a lot of her regulars who were there that made the trip, from out of town, from all over, because it wasn't just locals. This was, very special for a lot of members who had been waiting a long time. A lot of loyal JSS fans who had, been waiting a long time to finally return. So it was just a real special ride. And it was 80s, which is my favorite decade to work out to. So, I mean, she kicked it off with Phil Collins, In the Air Tonight. She played some In Excess, some modern English, The Outfield. She had some Bruce Springsteen and Billy Joel in there. So just a real good, solid 80s music playlist from JSS. So this was a fun one. It was really, and I did it live, of course. So it was just a great ride. It was a great, experience. And it makes me more excited to get back to the studio to do a class with her at some point, in the coming months. And I also have the next one. So we've got a 30-minute hip hop run from Kirsten Ferguson. This is also from Friday the 22nd. This was submitted by I Miss Fabio Dennis. I do too, by the way. I miss long-haired Fabio Dennis. The comments from this one. She starts class by apologizing for wearing a Paw Patrol Band-Aid because that's all she had at home. And she's one of us. This person, I Miss Fabio Dennis, said, she's one of us, and that makes me love her. She calls her members the Ratchet Mom Club and talks about dropping fire in the class. Love the energy.
I have a pick, and actually it's one of mine, and I had the privilege of being in studio for it. It was Cliff's 20-minute dance hall ride, which was also taught in German, and this was on July 22nd, 2022, at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I don't speak German at all, but that did not stop me from having a good time and understanding what Cliff was saying. All I had to do was look over at his wife and look over at him and follow his cues. Cliff, I mean, that ride was just amazing. You could totally tell Cliff was in his element with that dance hall ride, feeding off his wife's vibes, as well as the cliffhangers who were in studio, as well as the push crew who was in studio, just having a good time with Cliff. It was just, the playlist was amazing. Cliff was amazing. His energy, his vibe, all of it was just amazing and truly one of my favorite rides on the platform.
And this is also as well from our very own producer, Chris Giles.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and he agreed with me by saying that that it was a great playlist and the energy in the studio was amazing because, I mean, Cliff had both groups in that studio just cheering him on. It was an amazing experience.
Yeah, for anyone who's never been to the studio, there's a lot of obvious members that became Peloton members at the beginning of the pandemic, who are used to empty studios, and a lot of people are critical. They don't want to see people, they don't want the instruction, but you really have to experience being in a studio class. It's just another level, and you really have to be there and experience it to truly know what it's like. It's almost euphoric. How excited I am in there, and it's not like you're not going for a PR there. You're just soaking it up and having a great time. There's just something about being in that live production. And the instructor right there, it just always gets me so fired up. So really, if you've never done it, you got to experience it, at least once at one of the new studios that are beautiful, by the way. So definitely, if you've never been there, do not hesitate to make a trip to London or New York.
Yeah, and nothing like being in studio with your favorite instructor, which is also my next pick, which was Hannah Frankson's 30-minute Turn It Up ride, also on July 22nd, 2022, timed 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Hannah is my absolute favorite. So to be in studio with her, not only for her first studio member ride after the pandemic, but for a Turn It Up ride, I mean, Hannah, she eludes energy, but having members in the studio, not only just members, majority of the members were her push crew. We just all fed off of each other. It was just totally electrifying. That's the only, I keep saying, I use the word magical, but it was truly electrifying being in there with the push crew and Hannah and her energy. It was amazing. And to piggyback off of what you said, Jon, I feel every member who truly loves their Peloton bike should experience being in studio. It just totally hypes you up and just truly brings home what Peloton is all about. So members being in the studio, in my opinion, is an integral part of your Peloton experience. And I do feel every member should experience that, especially riding with their favorite instructor, because Hannah truly gives to us on the screen at home what she gives in the studio. And it was truly a good time.
Yeah, I did that one live, and I could tell how fired up she was at the beginning of pre-show. And even when she started the intro, she was so excited, and then she just let it all out, and the people were cheering right there with her. And I also thought it was really fun. There was a couple of funny moments that I pulled some clips from to meme at some point, but I thought it was really funny. She called out a rider whose wife is mad at him because Hannah gets him out of bed to ride with her. And then at the very end, when she was doing the stretch, she said, "When you're unclipping off your bike, only bump into the person next to them if you want to get their number."
Yeah. True Hannah.
It's only Hannah. Yeah. She just the most funny random things come out of her mouth. I love that about her personality. Yeah. Moving on. So next pick is one of Christine D'Ericles. Her 60-minute Power Zone Endurance 80s ride from Sunday the 24th. This was submitted by Kim 1000. They said Power Zone plus 80s music, fun times. And then the next one, we got Jess Sims 45-minute strength roll call, full body from the 25th. This was submitted by Nida K. Roll. And they said, always amazingly crazy, difficult, but worth it.
And next up, we have Jocelyn Thompson Rule, which was my pick. It's a 30-minute hip hop run from July 25th, 2022. This ride is one of my favorites because I like that with Jocelyn, you don't know what you're getting. And at the end, she threw in a spicy, I call it a cheeky spicy hill, because you didn't know it was coming. And those are the best type of runs for me. When you're like, okay, you're at your end, and then you don't know what's coming and she hits you with a hill ride. That's true Jocelyn form. Nice. Next up is Kira, a 30-minute 90s R&B yoga flow from July 25th, 2022. And this pick came from Midwife Lexi. Her comments were incredible playlist and a great flow if you could resist dancing through it.
And I got the next one. So Kendall Tools 30-minute metal ride. This one was in the evening on the 25th of July, and Sarah Beth and Meta Mags, they said, yeah, it's not everyone's cup of tea, but damn, she sent us to the upside down of Stranger Things with this ride. It was a good balance between old school metal and contemporary metal, and it was brutal. It's currently ranked at a 9.1 for good reason. I don't want to spoil the end of the ride. I heard there was a Stranger Things, the show from Netflix, theme to this ride. I also heard that you don't want to take this ride if you haven't seen the recent season of Stranger Things, because there's some spoiler-esque moments in this ride. So heads up. And they also said, metal rides are my therapy, and this one will take you to hell, as Kendall would say. The next one is Allie's. This is one of my picks. Allie's 30-minute country ride from July 26th. And I'm not a fan of really country. I don't really listen to country all that much. But Allie she puts together some of my favorite country playlists on the platform, because it's not like old Texas country. Like Dennis plays a lot of older country that I'm not really that into. But Allie plays the more of like the Nashville mainstream hits, which I like. And she also played a song request of mine on this one, which was real fun to hear in the class. She played Brad Paisley's the song Online from 2007, which is just kind of a fun, upbeat song. But she also had in there, she had some Carrie Underwood, some Dierks Bentley. She played Alan Jackson's Chattahoochee, which is, it's a fun country song, and some Sam Hunt, but just, great 30-minute ride. And yeah, I'll give it to her. She really does. Her and Hannah Corbin, they do some good country music playlists. I like them both for country. And I'm like I said, I'm not like I don't listen to country, outside of Peloton in the car or anything. But like I said earlier in the show, like on the bike, there's certain music genres that I love to work out to. And then it looks like you got the next one.
Next class pick is Nico's 30-minute deep house yoga flow taught in English on July 26, 2022. This is from member Pelo Yogi 723. And their notes on the class is special class in English featuring the vibe and deep house music from the musicians on Juna Deep label. I hope I said that correct, and I'm sorry if I messed that up.
And Juna Deep. Yep, you got it.
Juna Deep. Okay. Next is Emma Lovewell's 30-minute 5-year anniversary class from July 26, 2022, from Katie in Seattle, as well as B Crew 21, 86 Tommy, and Jen Lee Spin. And the comments were the playlist was poppin', including Janet Jackson's Escapade, and she shared her proudest moments. I might have to go back and take that one because I love me some Janet Jackson.
And it's funny, on a personal note, we got our bike, my wife and I, when we lived in Austin at the time, we got our Peloton bike on July 26, 2017. So I celebrated the 5-year anniversary with Emma. And someone messaged me and said, "Oh, you should have taught a 2-for-1 class with Emma."
Well, happy Pelliversary.
All right, so the next one I've got is Robin Arzon's 20-minute core strength. That is from July 26, and it was submitted by Not Kark Mark and Nida K. Roll. They said, "Take it just to hear Robin talk about Drew falling into the lake at Olivia's wedding during the scavenger hunt." All right, I'll check it out. And then I also have the next one. This is one of my picks. Jeffrey Mckeichern's 20-minute EDM run. It is in German. But if you've never taken a German instructor like with Jeffrey or any of the German instructors, but Cliff or Eric or one of my favorites, Benny, you don't have to know German to really follow along. The personality shines through and the music is there. There's so much that's universal that you can still follow along. I know a lot of the German classes, they don't have English subtitles, which is kind of a pain point for many, but this one was great. I haven't done many German classes that were running on the tread, but this was 20 minutes. It flew by. I mean, Jeffrey he just has such a great personality, and this class was fun. It went by really quick and great EDM music. I couldn't tell you any of the artists because I don't really know any EDM artists. But it was a great run, and I was still able to follow along. I couldn't understand, what sort of incline or speed ranges he was calling out, but I just followed along, with the pace that he was going at. And I still got a great workout out of it, just as I would, on the bike with the German instructors, following along their pedaling, the cadence of their legs. But just, a great 20-minute run.
Okay, next up, it's Sam Yo's 30-minute 80s ride from July 26, 2022. And this pick came from K_Rebecca. And she said that it was a fun 80s playlist.
Yeah, I did that one live. It was a good one. I mean, Sam, he's a big movie buff, and he seems to really love putting the movie theme into some of his 80s playlists. So this wasn't really a movie themed kind of one, but I love his appreciation for 80s, his 80s classes. So next up is from our own Amanda Siegel. I'm sure she was bummed not to, talk about this class herself. But Leanne's 20-minute 80s hip hop ride from the 27th. She said it was an emotional comeback for Leanne after being off the platform for almost 7 weeks. The STU crew were there celebrating their 2-year birthday, so the ride and celebration coincided very nicely. She also said the crew came out in full force with almost 1,000 on the leaderboard for a 7:30 a.m. UK time, UK ride, and it being the middle of the night in the USA. It was, I think, at 2:30 in the morning Eastern time. Almost everyone changed their thumbnail, and the hashtag was YRYC Sparkly Love for Leanne.
Yeah,
Yes,
I actually got up.
Okay.
I actually got up at 2:30 a.m. and did that ride in support of Leanne.
Wow.
And yeah, it was she brought the energy. It was a great, and just like Amanda said, emotional ride. And I was happy to be there to support her on her first ride back on the platform.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, next up, in my true Hannah voice, is Ben Aldis. Aldis.
Aldis.
Aldis. From his 20-minute techno upper body strength from July 27th, 2022. And this came from the member Country Music Lady 229. Her comments were, the playlist was great, but my arms are so dead. And I can attest to that. Ben, with his upper body strength classes, they're actually one of my favorites on the platform, because you're going to get a true workout with Ben's upper body strength. Next is Rebecca Kennedy's 60-minute hiking boot camp from July 27th, 2022. And this came from I Am Kimmy Ho and Mother of Collies. And the comments were, great, low impact, high intensity class. And it was the first 60-minute one. I found those comments kind of interesting, it being a 60-minute hiking boot camp, and it was described as a low impact, high intensity class. So that sounds interesting. Yeah.
My wife Jackie and I, we have to fight over our tread for these hiking boot camps because we both love them. My wife loves to do hikes with Rebecca. I mean, I do all sorts of workouts with her, but my wife really does Rebecca for the hikes. So I got her 45-minute hiking boot camp last week. So it was Jackie's turn to get the 60-minute hiking boot camp. But she said it was a pretty solid workout. And she even shouted out my wife and said something like, "It's nice having friendly competition, when you're claiming the tread." Because I'd messaged Rebecca the night before the hike and I said, Jackie got claim on the tread tomorrow, so no shout outs for her. But she still shouted her out. So that's fine. I'll get it next week. All right, I have the next one, and it's Jon Hosking and Susie Chan's 30-minute scenic Scotland Glencoe hike. Is that Glencoe? Yeah. From July 27th. Submitted by our own Amanda Siegel and runner Heather. They said the 2-for-1 hike with Jon Susie was epic. The dynamic between the two is contagious, and the scenery at Glencoe breathtaking. They said, and don't forget, Jon's scenic ride in Scotland, which is his first class on a bike. And then the other comment was, I just finished Jon Hosking's scenic ride through the Scotland Kinloch Horn, and it was outstanding. The scenery is absolute jaw-dropping, and even though it was a shorter class, he packed a lot of punch into it. Highly recommend.
I thought it was just me. When I had read that Jon it was a ride, I was a little like, wait a minute, I thought he was on the tread. So, okay, so that was his first class on the bike?
Yeah, on a bike outside. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't gotten a studio ride from him.
Right.
But who knows? Maybe we will at some point. And next up is Hannah Corbin's 20-minute hip-hop bar class from the 27th. This was submitted by Tiffany M909. She said it was a great full-body bar class.
Okay, and next is Jess King's 30-minute EDM trap ride from July 27th, 2022. And this came from Special K_NJ. And then as well as Rachel Blowfield. I hope I said that correct. And the comments were utterly insane
Blofeld,
in a good way. Blowfield, thank you. Utterly insane in a good way. The third part of her EDM EDU series. The last pick of the week is Marcel Deacon's 30-minute future run from July 27th, 2022. And this came from Jackie. And her comments were, "This class was fire." I think that pretty much would sum that up because I knew that Marcel would do a future run justice.
Nice. Well, that wraps it up. Thank you so much. You were great, Tiffany. I know you were nervous, but it wasn't bad, was it? It was fun.
Now that it's over, I can say no, but
you made it. It wasn't too. Hopefully, you weren't too stressed out today preparing.
Just a little.
I know you made Amanda proud filling in for her, so we greatly appreciate you guest hosting this week.
Well, thank you for having me, and I do hope that I did Amanda proud, and it was an honor to be here and to co-host with you, Jon. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. And just want to thank everyone for tuning in, watching, and listening to us. And for me here in Michigan, thank you again. And as always, we will see you on the leaderboard.
Thank you for watching Pelo Buddy TV, your source for everything Peloton, by the community, for the community. Work out with us using the Pelo Buddy TV leaderboard tag and find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Pelo Buddy. Don't forget that we have a podcast available so that you can listen to us while on the move. Just search for Pelo Buddy TV on any major platform and hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode.